So the first thing that we will have here is shareholders funds, sorry, equity and liabilities, equity and liabilities. Under that we have shareholders funds, and under that we have share capital. We've already calculated the share capital, which is 4 lakhs. This would be note 1. Share capital is 4 lakhs. The next thing that we have is reserves and surplus. We don't know the total yet, the final figure yet, but I will just write it and keep reserves and surplus, which is note number 2. I don't know it yet. Then we have long-term borrowings. This will come under uh, non-current liabilities. Non-current liabilities. Under that we have long-term borrowings, which is note number 3. The amount is 54,500. 54,500. That's it. Then we move on to current liabilities. Current liabilities. And under current liabilities, we have short-term borrowings is the first thing, but in this problem, we don't have anything under short-term borrowings. We directly move to trade payables. Trade payables, which is note number 4. Then we have short-term provisions. Trade payables are 62,220. Then we have short-term provisions. We don't know this as well because we still have to find the provision for taxation. Okay, there's going to be another item here, so I've left it blank. And other current liabilities 3090. 3090 other current liabilities. Okay, this brings us to the next part, which is assets. So we had equity and liabilities as the first part. The second part is assets. Under that we have the first thing is non-current assets. Non-current assets. And under non-current assets we have fixed assets. And under fixed assets we have tangible assets. Under fixed assets we have tangible assets. We already know the total of this. That is 277,850. 277,850. Okay, so non-current assets. Then under that we have fixed assets. Then we have non-current investments. We don't have anything of that sort here. Okay, we have something under other non-current assets. I forgot. Other non-current assets is 4,000. So B will be other non-current assets. Note number 8. This would be 4,000. Okay, so we are done with non-current assets. We had 2 items. Now we move on to current assets. Now under current assets, I think the first thing that we have is inventories. Note number 9, 124,840. Inventories 124,840. Then we have trade receivables 1,05,400. Trade receivables 1,05,400. And then we have cash and cash equivalents 116,390. 116,390. This is cash and cash equivalents. I think we have two more items here. Next is short-term loans and advances 84,290. Short-term loans and advances 84,290. And the last thing that we have in the balance sheet is other current assets, which is 10,000. Other current assets, which is 10,000. Okay, we can't total it yet because we don't know all the figures. So then we move on to the profit and loss account. The first thing that we have here is revenue from operations. The note number is 14. The total is 11,69,900. 11,69,900. We don't have anything under other income, so I will delete this. We don't need that. So our total revenue is 11,69,900. Okay. We move to the expenses now. Under the expenses, the first thing that we have is cost of materials consumed, which is 15. I'll just write all this 16, 17, 18. Okay. Then we have purchases, we don't have anything. We go directly to employee benefit expenses. Then we have finance costs, depreciation, and amortization. And finally, we have other expenses, which is 90. So let's check the figures. Cost of materials is 784,700. 784,700. Employee benefit expenses are 133,530. 133,530. Finance costs are 9,000. Yeah. Depreciation and amortization is 22,260. And finally, other expenses come to 56,090. 56,090. So the total of this, let me just get the total. 784,700 plus 133,530 plus 9,000 plus 22,260 plus 56,090 comes to 10,05,000. 10,05,580. Okay. That is going to give us number 3, which is profit before tax, and that is going to be 1, total of 1 minus total of 2. So that comes to minus the two figures, 164,320. 164,320, and now we can provide for tax. Okay, now we can provide for tax because what the adjustment said, provision, make a provision for income tax at 50%. So 50% of this, 50% of the profit before tax, what is that? Yeah. So that will be 4. Provision for tax will be 164,320 into 50%. That comes to 82,160. 82,160. Okay, and then the final one is profit for the year. Profit for the year, which is 3 minus 4, will be, it will be half of it. It will be the same 82,160, because out of the total profit, half is gone for tax. Okay. Now, before we proceed to anything else, we already know the provision for taxation. So that I'm going to transfer to the note on provision for taxation 82,160. That comes here under short-term provisions. Provision for taxation. Provision for tax 82,160. And that will be 180 plus 60 is 140, 142, 160. So that I will transfer to short-term provisions now. 142, 160. You know this. 142, 160. Okay. And now the last thing that is left for us is, okay, we can also transfer the profit, the final profit. What is the final profit here? 82,160, this is going to go to the, sorry, 82,160 is going to go to the balance sheet, that is reserves and surplus. Add profit during the year 82,160. 82,160. Okay. So that will come to, we had a profit plus this profit, that will come to 38,640 plus 82,160 comes to 120,800. 120,800. Okay. Now, from the profit, we also, they have said to provide for general reserve. Okay. What have they said here? Directors recommend a maiden dividend at 15%, which we've already done, for the year after transfer of 5% of net profit to general reserve. Now, 5% of net profit we need to transfer. So, less transfer to general reserve. Transfer to general reserve. I'll just make it a little short. Okay, and how are we going to calculate? Our net profit for the year is 82,160. Final net profit, not before tax, into 5%. After tax, it's always after tax. Okay, it's always after tax into 5%. So that is going to give me 82,160 into 5 divided by 100 comes to 4,108. 4,108. Okay, so I think I'll take this a little this way. From this, we need to minus this. 4,108. So 60,000 from the total profit. 64,108. So 120,800. What I have done is, this was the profit, total profit over last year's as well as this year's. From this, we are making a provision for dividend, as well as we are transferring 5% of the profit to general reserve. So the total amount to be appropriated is 64,108. This difference comes to, the final profit that we are left with is 56,692. 56,692. Now, one thing we have not done is, we have done this adjustment, transfer to general reserve. We have done just one part of it. We have appropriated from the profit. That means part of the profit, 5% of the profit, we are transferring to general reserve. What does this give rise to? This gives rise to, just underline this, the fact that we have transferred 5% to general reserve, and we didn't have general reserve here. If you look at the problem, we have no general reserve here. That means we have created general reserve. Okay, so in reserves and surplus, profit and loss is going to be our first item. General reserve is going to be a second item. Sometimes in some problems what they give you the general reserve. So you'll have the opening balance plus there will be a certain percentage that is transferred. So you will have the transfer. But in this problem we didn't have it at all, but we have created it. So the general reserve that we have created is 4108, 4108, and this total comes to 60,000. This total comes to 56,692 plus 4108 comes to 60,800. 60,800. Okay, so this is the first item and this is the second item. Just underlining it to show you that these are the two items on the, we can underline it or you can number it as well. Okay, so the total of reserves and surplus is basically 60,800. I will just transfer this here. And now we can check whether the balance sheet is tallying or not. So this total here will be plus 54,500 plus 62,220 plus 142,160 plus 3,090 comes to 722,770. Let's see if their set side is also the same amount. 277,850 minus 4,000 minus 124,840 minus 1,05,400 116,390 84,290 and 10,000. Yes, total is correct. So it is 722,770. 722,770.